Relax and learn simple English with Easygoing English Podcast.
Today we're going to talk about our daily routines. After each session, we're going to break down the vocabulary that you can use to describe your daily routines in English so that you'll be able to learn how to use them.
We all have different routines, and having a good routine in the morning will help you start the day off on the right foot.
Right, depending on your routine, it can either help boost your productivity throughout the day or end up slowing you down. That's why it's important to build a healthy routine, especially in the morning.
Definitely. It can help you create a sense of control and help anchor your day.
By the way, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This is the 9th episode of Easygoing English Podcast, hosted by Claire.
And I'm Josh.
We upload videos every week, sharing English learning methods, habits you can build to improve your English, as well as English vocabulary to help you sound more natural and fluent.
If you want to learn English in a relaxed, stress-free way, you're at the right place.
Without further ado, let's get it started.
Morning routine.
So, let's talk about our morning routines. I usually wake up around 6 to 7 a.m., depending on when my shift starts. It takes me about 30 minutes to get ready, and 40 minutes to drive to my workplace, so I need to wake up roughly an hour and a half before the start of my shift. What about you, Josh?
I usually wake up around 5 to 6 a.m. I tend to wake up early.
You're an early bird.
Right? I am an early riser.
I'm not at all. I like to sleep in. On my days off, I try to sleep as late as possible.
You're a night owl. What do you do first thing in the morning?
I usually try to avoid using my phone.
Oh, yeah. I heard that it's not the best idea to use your phone first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I usually don't have a lot of time, so I head to the kitchen and grab something to eat. I can't stomach anything heavy in the morning, so I eat something light like fruit or cereal, or a cookie and milk. Anything that's not heavy, but gives me an energy boost until lunchtime.
I usually drink coffee in the morning. I need to be firing on all cylinders. I also grab a quick bite that keeps me going until the afternoon. Something light but filling. When I have time, I may eat a light breakfast that fuels me for the day.
Nothing heavy, just enough to get you going. Once I'm done eating, I go to the bathroom, wash my face, brush my teeth, and do my hair. Once I get dressed, I head to my garage and drive to work.
Same here. After having a light breakfast and taking care of my hygiene, I usually take my dog out for a walk around the block. And this is why I wake up so early. I walk with him for about 30 minutes in the morning. I work from home, so I don't need to commute.
It must be wonderful. All right, let's break down the vocabulary.
Vocabulary breakdown.
Before we get to the vocabulary, I think we should go over the difference between wake up and get up. I think many people confuse them.
Yeah, when you wake up, you stop sleeping. When you get up, you actually get out of bed.
Right. So you can say, I usually wake up around 6 a.m., but I don't get up right away.
Yeah, your alarm wakes you up at 5 a.m., but you hit snooze and don't get up for another 2 hours, falling back asleep and waking up confused again.
Has it ever happened to you?
A couple of times.
I hope you didn't have to work that day. All right, let's talk about the phrase, the start of your shift. I said, I usually wake up around 6 to 7 a.m., depending on when my shift starts. These are common phrases for the time when your shift starts. You can also use the phrase clock in. The phrase, to clock in, comes from the act of recording the time you come to work on a clock card machine or time recorder. You could say, I clocked in at 8 a.m. this morning.
Moving on to the next phrase. Early bird. Claire called me an early bird when I talked about waking up at 5 a.m. Early birds refer to people who wake up early.
You could also call them early risers or morning people.
There's also a less common phrase, morning larks.
The opposite of these phrases are night owls. Night owls are people who like to be awake and active at night. I sometimes forget to turn off the alarms on my days off. I'm ready to sleep in, but then they start going off.
I'd probably sleep like a log if I didn't have to wake up, even if the alarms are going off.
I couldn't do that. I am sensitive to sounds, so I get really upset.
Yeah, I'd hate it. You'd like to have the well-deserved weekend hibernation.
I couldn't agree more. Time for another phrase. Firing on all cylinders. Josh used this phrase when talking about the reason why he needs coffee when he wakes up.
Yeah, firing on all cylinders means performing at full capacity. functioning at your best.
And here's the next phrase. Grab a quick bite. It means to eat something quickly, usually a small or casual meal.
It's another way of saying getting something to eat or having a quick snack. Like, let's grab a quick bite.
All right, let's move on to the next session.
Afternoon routine.
At work, I'm usually at the front desk, answering phones and checking in visitors and helping with paperwork. I used to be able to be more relaxed, but ever since I got a new position, my work has been really busy.
Yeah, I'm usually busy until lunchtime. As soon as I come back from the walk with my dog, I start working on marketing campaigns, writing emails, or doing market research. What do you eat for lunch?
I usually bring the leftovers from dinner. If I don't, I usually go to a cafeteria, eat a sandwich, and drink coffee with my coworkers.
I usually make a sandwich. After lunch, I go walking with the dog again. I take him out for the second time after lunch.
Good for you. You get to do a lot of exercise with your dog. Your dog must be happy.
Yeah, I usually come back in 40 minutes to an hour and get back to work immediately. And I work until 5 to 6 p.m. What time do you normally clock out?
I usually get off work around 4 to 5 p.m. Like I said, it takes about 40 minutes to get to work, so I usually come home around 5 to 6 p.m.
Vocabulary breakdown.
Okay, let's break down the vocabulary that we used. The first one on our list is the front desk. The front desk is the main reception area where visitors are greeted. If you visit an office or a hospital, the first place you go to is the front desk.
It's where someone greets you, and you ask for help or get information.
You can also call it the reception, welcome desk, or lobby desk. The next phrase is checking in visitors. Checking in visitors refers to the process of greeting or registering guests.
It refers to hospitality or security procedures. Basically, Claire is in charge of checking in visitors at the office she works for.
Exactly. You could also say signing in guests, welcoming or registering visitors. Let's take a look at the next one. Helping with paperwork. When I help with paperwork, I assist with filling out or organizing forms and documents.
Yeah, you basically help others complete forms or manage files, right?
You got it. For the majority of the day, I check in guests, write and send emails, and receive phone calls. You could also use phrases like assisting with forms, handling documents, or doing admin work.
These are useful phrases to know if you work in an office like her.
The next phrase is leftovers from dinner. Leftovers are food that you didn't eat and saved for later.
Instead of throwing it away, you could keep it for later. It's basically about what's available to eat later or the next day.
Right. Here comes the next expression. Get back to work. Josh used this phrase when he was talking about what he does after he comes back from a walk with his dog.
Yeah, it means to resume working after a break or distraction.
You use this phrase when ending a break or switching back to tasks. For example, you could say, lunch is over. Time to get back to work.
You could also say, return to work, continue working, or back to the grind.
Let's go over another phrase. We already talked about clock in. When you end your shift, you clock out. You officially record the end of your shift. It's when employees record the time they leave work. Some alternative phrases include punch out and sign out. The next phrase is get off work, which means to finish the workday or shift. The key difference between clocking out and getting off work is that when you clock out, you log your time, and when you get off work, you are done with your job for the day. Okay, let's move on to the next session.
Evening routine.
So what do you do when you come home?
It really depends on the day. Sometimes I relax with my dog and let myself space out for a bit. Sometimes I watch videos on YouTube or listen to podcasts.
As soon as I come home, I change clothes and lay down on the bed. I then spend some time on my phone.
I also like to take a little break after work and before dinner. What do you usually eat for dinner?
If I don't have so much time or energy, I cook pasta and a salad. I've been into Mediterranean food lately.
Pasta is easy. I like to cook it too. Although I have to say, I sometimes order food for delivery.
No judgment. Sometimes I like to do it too.
If I don't order any food, I usually do the dishes and prepare the food for the next day after dinner. Once I'm done, I take the dog out one last time for some fresh air.
Yeah, I'm usually wiped out by the time I am done eating and doing the dishes. Once I take off my makeup, I relax on the bed.
I try to avoid screen time once I'm on my bed.
Good for you. It's good to take a break from screens and give your eyes a rest.
Yeah, you want to stay off your phone for the night and unplug for a bit before you fall asleep. Sometimes I listen to podcasts when I feel like it.
Let's break down the vocabulary for the evening routine.
Vocabulary breakdown.
Okay, let's start with space out. Josh said that he likes to space out when he finishes working.
To space out means to daydream or lose focus. You may use this phrase for a situation when you're mentally distracted. For example, sorry, I spaced out during that meeting.
You could also say zone out, drift off, or tune out. On to the next expression, ordering food for delivery. When you order food for delivery, you request it from a restaurant to be brought to your home. You can say you get food delivered or have food brought over.
You order food for delivery when you don't want to cook or go out. When you request the food, you place an order.
All right, let's move to the next phrase. Do the dishes.
This one is useful.
To do the dishes means to wash the dirty plates, cups, and utensils after eating. It's about post-meal cleanup. Moving along to the next one. Wiped out. I said I'm usually wiped out by the time I'm done eating and doing the dishes. When I say I'm wiped out, it means I'm extremely tired or exhausted.
You use this phrase when you've had a long, tiring day or activity.
Exactly. Some of the alternatives are, I'm beat and I'm drained.
You could also say, I'm running on empty.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, the next phrase is to unplug for a bit, which means to take a break from screens or technology or work. You use the phrase when you need rest or mental clarity.
It's sometimes good to unplug for a bit and take a walk in nature.
I couldn't agree more. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
If you find this episode useful, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with others who are also studying English.
Catch you in the next one.
Talk to you soon.